today's video, we're going to do a side-by-side comparison with the Charcoal Goods Everyday Razor and the Tatara Masamune Dark. Coming right up. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host John, and for today's shave, we're trying something a little bit different. We're going to try a side-by-side comparison with two different safety razors. Ones that, at least in my head, I think shave very similarly, and I kind of want to put it to the test. So first up is the Charcoal Goods Everyday Safety Razor, and this one I had been borrowing from my friend Ben from Mammoth Soaps. I actually, after that first shave went so well, I was convinced to go purchase one myself. I was able to find one, bought one used, secondhand, whatever, and it's already come in the mail since my last video, so this is technically the first spin with my own everyday razor, and this is loaded with the Astra SP, and we're going to compare it against the Tatara Masamune Dark, also loaded with a Astra SP blade. One of the common factors and the reason I want to pit them against one another is both have very low, minimal blade feel, yet I find them to be quite efficient. In my head at least, I'm finding that the everyday razor is more efficient, but you know, again, this is based on memory, just based on feel, kind of loosey-goosey. So we're gonna do, a side-by-side comparison, see how it goes, and I'm not actually sure what we'll find or if we'll have anything definitive by the end of this video, but I wanted to bring you guys along for that ride and, see what happens. For my brush today, I'm going with my Paladin Samurai. This is the Phantasia colorway. Just some really, really nice things going on. It reminds me a little bit of a watermelon. I mean, I know the green isn't as bright, but green, red, some stripes. It reminds me of a watermelon. It's outfitted with a very comfortable 28mm Badger Knot bulb shape. And for my soap and splash today, I'm going with House of Mammoth Almond Leather. This scent, this is the original release, but it has recently been re-released in the current Tusk base. So we'll talk a little bit about the scent as I'm lathering up. But let me go and load the brush and we'll come back for the face lather. If you'd like to help the channel, please like, share, and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. These are all easy ways to support and grow the channel if you're enjoying what you're watching. Alright, and here we are starting the face lather. Because this scent was recently re-released to a much larger quantity than the first batch of almond leather. What I'm getting is basically if you took a kind of a cologne smooth suede leather, something you might find in like Tom Ford ombre, is it leather ombre leather? Not a raw, overpowering kind of rawhide leather, and you mix in almost a cello-like cherry vibe. That's kind of what makes up almond leather. Right now I'm getting more leather than cherries, so there is sweetness, but I would say it's on the more subtle side. This would probably be one I recommend more for fans of that suede leather. Really leather and I guess like tobacco, sandalwood, those are some of my favorite cold weather scents. Mammoth had another release called Stones that had a much more raw leather, the opposite of this one. And that one wasn't to my liking. That wasn't the one that I kept in the end. But I do quite like this one. I would say scent strength is about medium. Maybe like a 5 or 6 out of 10. Which at this point, that's kind of the, that's a sweet spot that Ben from Mammoth kind of shoots for. Alright, so this is how we'll do the shave. For all the passes on my right side, we'll go with the older razor, the one I've had longer, which is the Tatara Masamune Dark. And for everything on the left side of my face, we'll be shaving with the Charcoal Goods Everyday. And also one thing that hopefully I can share a little bit about is kind of my criteria, what I look for in razors, why I might keep one over the other, that kind of stuff. Alright, so let's kick it off with the Tatara Masamune Dark. Again, I'm using Astra SP blades in both. So one thing I'm looking for in today's experiment is for redundancy. So if these two razors wind up being very similar, just to keep things kind of lean and mean in my shave den, I don't have a crazy amount of razors or anything like that, but if I have a mild but efficient razor with, like low blade feel, how many of that type of razor do I need? Probably one, at most two. So one thing I am looking for is whether these are super similar, in which case I really need to cut one from the current den. Now, certain exceptions can be made. The fact that this is a black coated razor. I do consider things like design, look, even color, different metals, brass, copper, other coated razors. I guess that might be an exception to the rule where there might be two razors that shave kind of similarly along the same lines, but they just look very different from another, and I just really like the design. So that might be an exception that we come across today as well. I did forget to mention I'm working with 3 days worth of growth. So the first half is done. And let's check before I do across and against the grain. Touch the face. I can, going against the grain here, I can still hear it and I can still feel it. But I better move fast before the lather dries out. So now to shave with the left side with the charcoal goods every day. So first thing I'm noticing is this just glides a lot more easily. And it does relate to recently when we talked to Shane from Blackland Razors, whether coating can create drag in the razor. And the short answer basically is, if you're looking for drag in a coated razor, you're probably going to find it. A little bit of inception there. But just going side by side, this is gliding much more easily. And I will note that I think in past shaves, not all the time, but some of the time, the Masamune just wouldn't glide as easily. A lot of these things can be in your head, but just going side by side, I'm liking the way this just feels. Both face feel, and again, that glide is just going, and we're obviously using the same lather here. So, all right, well, the first pass is done on both sides. Let's do a little, I don't know if I'll be able to check. There's still some sound of scruff. So let's rinse up and we'll do a second pass with both razors. All right, let's go for pass number 2 with the Masamune. Now going back on the talk about design, the Masamune, I know some folks actually don't like this very kind of contemporary modern dimple design, but I actually quite like it. And of the two razors, this is slightly heavier, not by a whole much, rather not by a whole bunch. And one thing I forgot to mention in my previous shave with the everyday razor is the hollow or the semi-hollow handle, which actually makes it makes it a bit lighter than, especially compared to your typical stainless steel razor. But it affords it some nice nimbleness to it, which is a quality I've really come to appreciate having when I use the carbon razor with the carbon fiber handle, and then more recently the Blackbird titanium. So weight might be another factor, because it turns out I like both heavy razors, like my Charcoal Goods Magnum handle, but I'm liking some of these lighter razors as well. All right. Now back to the Charcoal Goods Everyday. I mean, I guess it could be telling that I've already gone ahead and purchased one of these razors. And I kind of jumped on the opportunity because Charcoal Goods is in the process, they've moved and are setting up a new shop. You can follow them on Instagram. That process is being documented there. And if you go to the website, I know some of you had checked, but you are greeted with the message that razors won't be back. The estimated time is May of 2021. But again, a great place to look for sometimes hard to get products or currently not in production but are coming back soon are secondhand buy-sell trade type places on What Shave Enablers on Facebook and the Shave Bazaar on Reddit. And the quick spot check. Very similar results. Going off the sound. These guys are proving to be very similar. Let's rinse out and go for a third pass. All right, here we go for our third and final pass. Again, with the Masamune first. One other factor that I can't forget to mention is price. And these two happen to be in retail. I didn't check beforehand, but I do believe that they are in the $150 to $200 range. So these two are very similar in that as well. What you do with information on the price is probably going to be different for everyone. If two razors perform very similarly and the design and aesthetics don't really play a factor, and you're trying to only keep one, it would make sense that if they're both performing well and you like both of them about the same, you'll probably keep the less expensive one. I think that's what I would do. Both of these are also mild enough to do some buffing, so I have enough residual slickness here. I do have to be careful. You can see some little blood spots there already. In fact, I think the blood spots here, given that they're on the Charcoal Goods Everyday side, it kind of really speaks to that deceptive efficiency that I found. I think other people too who have commented on the previous video have mentioned not everyone, but some have really cut up their face in using it. Sometimes with the efficient razors, you do want some of that blade feel to kind of just keep you in check. Because this thing, I think you can, and coupled with the nimbleness, you could really just whip this thing around. And if you apply too much pressure, you could really wind up hurting yourself. I mean, nothing too bad, but again, there's spots down here. Which is a problem that I used to have all the time, but less so now that I'm usually more mindful to keep light pressure. I will say that every day, being a newer razor, I'm still, you'll have to forgive me if you see some of those spots, but. All right, I'm gonna rinse off and then we'll do one final spot check to see kind of what remains as far as whiskers and whatnot. I know stuff because it's nothing that you can see maybe, but I'm going by audio. I can hear it at least, how much scrapiness, maybe not scrapiness, there's gotta be a better word. I'm going by how much audio feedback I get when rubbing the beard against the grain, or where there should be a beard. So I'll be right back. All right, so after a quick spot check, I think it's safe to say that the efficiency is very similar. I wouldn't ever say that the Masamune is deceptively efficient, but it is quite comfortable. That's one, also that people will mix and match the top caps and base plates. A lot of folks like to pick up the Nodachi, which is the more aggressive of the base plates, but then pair it with the Masamune top cap, thus upping the efficiency a little bit. So that does lead me to believe that the charcoal goods everyday is the more efficient of the two, if at least by a hair. Let me not forget to finish off with the almond leather aftershave splash here. Again, a really nice scent to use, particularly in the cold weather. And then if you do like that, suede leather kind of type fragrances. This one's real nice. Again, that cherry note, that cherry almond note is the weaker of the two, but it's there, I think, to help round things out. A really unique, really nice, enjoyable combination. All right, so what did I learn from today's little experiment in our shave? I do have to say that the winner for me is the charcoal goods everyday. Again, the efficiency, but more importantly, just the ease, the glide, and maybe the weight kind of hits a sweet spot. So I really just enjoy using this razor. Not to say that the Tatara Masamune is a slouch by any means, but I think, maybe I'll kind of sleep on it a little bit, but I will most likely be putting this up for sale in the next week or so. This was already something I had been thinking about, maybe around November, December, and I wanted to try a few razors to see if something might take the place of the Masamune in my lineup. I think I've found that. Granted, I have a bunch of other razors that you'll be seeing me using, and that Blackbird Titanium I fell in love with. I had just really good luck, I guess, with new safety razors. This everyday is a surefire hit. Based on the shave, they are quite close candidates. So if you were looking into either razor, because I do think that $150 to $200 range for safety razors is quite nice, especially if you're looking to upgrade. Maybe you have your Merkur 34, Edwin Jagger DE89, or even something else. These are razors I've priced really nicely in that next tier up. And also keep in mind, this is totally subjective. What I'm looking for in a razor might not be what you're looking for, because I'm no way bashing the Tatara, but just for my own means, for what I like in the shave, the charcoal goods, it's definitely the winner in this direct comparison. So I'd love to hear from you if you guys at home have used either the charcoal goods everyday or the Tatara Masamune. Were what I found, or my impressions similar to yours, totally different? This is, again, really subjective, so I'd love to hear from you. Let me know your experience in the comments below. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me for today's shave. This was a really fun experiment and something I'd love to do again. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.